outside the box, take a different road. Shake things up, let your story unfold. Unconventional playbook, break the mold. Let your heart guide you, let your tale be told.
Unconventional, exceptional, writing our own rules, feeling sensational. Unconventional, exceptional, embracing who we are, feeling invisible.
Yeah, colors outside the lines, dance in the rain. Embrace the chaos, release the pain. Unconventional playbook, let's make a change. Let's rewrite the stars, let's rearrange.
Unconventional, exceptional, writing our own rules, feeling sensational. Unconventional, exceptional, embracing who we are, feeling invisible.
Be bold, be brave, stand tall. Embrace the journey, rise after the fall. Unconventional playbook, we have it all. Let's break free, let's stand up tall.
Powered by Riverside FM.
Welcome to another edition of Unconventional Playbook, Spotlight Edition. Please hit that like and subscribe button. Let's keep the station growing. You guys thought I was going away with this subject, didn't you? No, I'm not. I'm not going away from this subject. When I say that I told you so, I told you so. And see, I've always been under the stance, and I like to get on my soapbox when it comes to female sports. Especially, I'm more passionate about women's basketball only because I coach it. Only because I'm a head coach at a university, and I am very passionate about women's basketball. I see the sacrifices that my players go through to represent the university and to be great. So I want to see that sport succeed along with other sports. But again, I'm more passionate about women's basketball. There was a lot of hate thrown at Caitlin Clark for the past couple of years at Iowa because she was just box office at Iowa. She transcended the sport, and she actually changed the sport. She made people be interested in the sports of women's basketball. And it sounds like it's blasphemy to say that. I mean, really, nobody was watching before. If you would have told me 3 years ago that the NCAA tournament on the women's side would outdraw the men's side, I would say that you were absolutely crazy. There was something wrong with you. You need to be drug tested. But that actually happened last March Madness. And a direct correlation to that was Caitlin Clark. And people try to make you feel bad when you say that. Well, what about the other athletes that are out there? What about people that paved the path for Caitlin Clark? Man, nobody's dismissing those. Nobody's dismissing those. But I'm calling a spade when you talk about a person who is starting to transcend the sport that makes people interested in a sport that nobody was watching before. She did it in college. Caitlin Clark did, and now she's doing it in the WNBA. Dude, the worst thing that could have happened to the league, in terms of competitiveness was not putting Caitlin Clark on that USA Olympic team, because what you have done now is you have allowed her to give her body a little bit of rest. So you have to realize the WNBA is a little bit different from the NBA. When you get drafted in the NBA, you have months before you start to play. When you get drafted into the WNBA, your college season is pretty much just ending, and then you go right into WNBA play. So you really don't get a chance to get that physical and mental rest. Well, during the Olympics, that's what Caitlin Clark was afforded. A chance to get some mental and physical rest. And now she's starting to get this bad mama jamma figured out. Her body is rested. Her mind is rested. And she's doing folks right now. Listen to me, man. The Rookie of the Year conversation is over. Unless something catastrophic happens over the next series of weeks, the Rookie of the year conversation is over. If they give it to anybody else, it's a conspiracy. It's just hate. It's just not wanting to give her the rookie of the year because it's over. The rookie of the year. And by the way, when they were talking about the rookie of the year, who was going to win between Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark before the Olympic break, my first thought was, why are you even talking about this halfway through the season? You got another half of the season to go. And what I try to educate people on when it comes to this sport. Again, I'm passionate about it. I've been involved in this for just years of my life. So I understand the goings on. You can't stop greatness. You might as well embrace it because it's going to rise to the top. I would love to hear the stories about Tiger Woods and how he scraped and climbed his way to the top. You have no idea the obstacles that Tiger Woods probably had to go through to become who he was as a golfer. And there were probably people that tried to squelch that. But greatness always rises to the top. Caitlin Clark, same deal, man. Caitlin Clark, same deal. You see the venom in which Caitlin Clark received in college and then entering the WNBA. People trying to squelch her, taking chip shots. You've seen it. You've seen the chip shots that people were taking at her during the game, trying to mentally get her out of her game. She's just a little different. You're not going to be able to do that. You're not going to be able to do that. Greatness, you can't damper it. Always rises to the top. Every single test that you have put forth in front of Caitlin Clark, she has passed head-to-head battles with Angel Reese. She's doing the Chicago Sky pretty much every time she plays. There's a little bit more effort in her game when she plays the Chicago Sky. Diana Taurasi and Phoenix, oh my gosh, she dominates them every time she plays. And they were the most vocal. Diana Taurasi was probably the most vocal, other than Cheryl Swoops, the most vocal about Caitlin Clark when she came out of college into the WNBA league. And again, we've done numerous podcasts about the Caitlin Clark effect, man. What she's doing with attendance and charter flights for teams and TV contracts and all the stuff that she's doing for the game. And I've spent numerous podcasts just relaying how stupid people were to try to put a damper on her when she essentially is helping a struggling league who can't pay their bills. And you've got women out there who have to go overseas to make a living when you've got an entity right here that could change everything. She could change everything for the WNBA. And yet there are fans, there are people, there are players that want to put a damper on this young lady like fools. Here's some stats for you. Indiana Fever attendance is at roughly 15,000 a game. 15,000 a game. That's average, pretty much average anywhere in the league, wherever the Indiana Fever goes, whether it's a home game or an away game. 15,000. Non-Caitlin Clark games are averaging about 8,000. 8,000 non-Caitlin Clark games. And you would have to throw in there, common sense tells you that because there is more interest in the league, that 8,000, even if Caitlin Clark is not playing in any of those games, she's not involved in any of those games, the interest of the league that she is spurring on is part of that 8,000 number. So if Caitlin Clark was not in the league, what would that 8,000 look like? What did it look like in previous years? Man, people keep talking, man, what about, Asia? Well, listen, man, Asia Wilson and all these players, man, I'm not disparaging those players. That's not what I'm doing. I give them credit for what they're doing. But these players, Diana Taurasi, great players, all these players, absolutely fantastic. They are great. But what I'm trying to tell you is those players were in the league before and the numbers didn't move. I'm just telling you the facts on unconventional playbook. I'm not trying to convince you. I'm not trying to say you should be on one aisle or the other. I'm just saying the facts are the facts. These players that were in the league before couldn't carry the load, and the numbers were not what they are now. When they were in the league without Caitlin Clark, that's a fact. That's a fact. In games that Caitlin Clark is playing, she's averaging 85% more attendance than non-Caitlin Clark games. I'm going to keep hitting you with these facts. For people that want to come at me and say, "Oh man, you too pro Caitlin Clark, you holding Caitlin Clark up." Man, I'm just hitting you with facts. The WNBA All-Star Game, 3.4 million viewers for the WNBA All-Star Game. They've never touched that before. And by the way, they defeated the USA team. Oh man, this young lady is starting to figure out. I remember, man, when I grew up, I was a little kid in Ohio. When I was growing up, man, I used to love pro wrestling. I used to love, the Hulk Hogans and the Ric Flairs and all those guys, Nikita Koloff and all those guys, man. I was big into wrestling. And the WWF was big, but there was another company, the NWA or whatever you want to call it, came from Georgia Championship Wrestling. You guys remember that? You remember wrestling back in the day when you thought it was real? Dusty Rhodes and a guy. But I just remember what Ric Flair used to always say, who was a member of the Four Horsemen. He used to say to his opponents, whenever they would walk in, whenever they would walk that aisle, Ric Flair used to always say, you got to walk that aisle. But he used to always say, and I apply this to Caitlin Clark and people that are hating on Caitlin Clark. Whether you like her or don't like her, learn to love her. Because she's the best thing that's going today for the WNBA. You can try your hardest to hate. And I think when you have someone that's going to be as great as Caitlin Clark, because she's not anywhere close to what she's going to be, you've got to have a level of hate. Hell, Tiger Woods had it. Michael Jordan had it. Kobe had it. Damn sure LeBron has it. When you're great, there's just a level of haters that are just going to be out there. So Caitlin Clark is no different. There are people that are jealous because of her status and the attention that she's getting. They're not really, she makes them feel uncomfortable, like they are not worthy. That's what happens when greatness enters the room. So I get it, man. I'm not here to convince people. I'm just here to tell you that before Caitlin Clark was Caitlin Clark, I was on the right side of history. And I'm trying to tell you, I'm not out there trying to dampen anybody else's light. There are tons of fantastic women basketball players in the WA. There have been tons of fantastic women basketball players that have played in the WA that are not in the league anymore. Cheryl Swoops, Cynthia Cooper, fantastic players. Fantastic. And you could argue that some of them deserve to get a little bit more attention, but the facts are that they didn't, for whatever reason you want to point out. And now you have someone that is galvanizing the sport in Caitlin Clark. And I'm just here to tell you that no matter what you do, no matter what you say, no matter how much you hate, Caitlin Clark is going to continue to rise to the top. So rather than waste your energy on hating it, embrace the greatness and enjoy what you see. I'm not saying she's going to be the only one. I'm just saying that she is going to be the one for a while, and there may not be another for a while like Caitlin Clark. I'm talking about the whole package. Being able to play, being able to help the league, being able to advertise the league, being that iconic figure to help the WNBA out who can't pay their bills. Man, Caitlin Clark's starting to get this thing figured out on the court. Look at her assist totals. Check out the dimes. Woo, man, this has been Unconventional Playbook Spotlight. Keep hitting that like and subscribe button. Myself and Mr. Patrick Buchanan will be back a little bit later in the week to talk some Minnesota Vikings stuff. I just wanted to spotlight my girl, Caitlin Clark. Keep doing your thing, man. The girl is box office. This has been Unconventional Playbook. LaTrey, take us out, man.
I don't know who I am. Can I say I'm a man? Am I losing my mind? Am I wasting my time? Do I know who I am?